All right, so it's that time of year again. Time to get the Assault back to stock. It's the end of August. My new sled should be in October. I'll probably wait to list this until I get some definitive word on when my sled's gonna come in. Right now, like I said, it's looking like October, but I'd like to at least have it in transit before I get rid of this one. So pretty much the only thing that's gonna go with the sled is the heated shield port that I put on last season. Other than that, it's gonna be 100% stock. So if any of you guys are interested in it, let me know. Reach out to me either on Instagram or Facebook. I'm definitely a lot more active on Instagram. Facebook, I try to check as often as possible, but it's kind of a mixed bag. It's not very good with like notifications and stuff. So, or just reach out in the comments down below and we can email or something about it. The main things I need to do are get the Mountainside Products offside spindles off. I'm gonna put the stock ones back on. We're gonna get the mountain grab bar taken off, and I'm gonna put the Pro Steer skis back on. As you guys know, I'm kind of always a believer that you get the most money for your sled just selling it stock. You might get a little bit of money if you have the right mods for the right buyer, but overall most people are gonna wanna kind of make the sled fit their needs. So I just kind of try to offer it as stock as possible. The only thing I usually can't do obviously is take a wrap off if I ever do that, but I haven't done that for the past few sleds. And so this way, you know, if I can reuse any of this stuff, saves me money, and you know, you're not kind of pawning a certain type of sled off on a new buyer.
I'm in it for keepsake.
So I'm going to start with the spindles first because the spindles obviously attached to the skis. So if I swap the skis out, I'm just going to take that off again and then go from there.
For Pete's sake, I'm above average, I'm patting my stat. I gotta matter what he say. I'm the 2010 young LeBron James off the backboard, type of bad boy. Hold it down for the task force. If I run his fade, then you ask for it. Cross need to laugh more. I keep it 100 on dashboard. The live show need a passport, cause the beat bounce to the cap torn. Feel like I live it and fast forward, but I asked for it. Misfit.
All right, so I said on Instagram I would answer some of your guys' questions. I really appreciate you guys asking, and if you're ever curious about a Q&A, most likely it's gonna happen on Instagram, so definitely follow me over there. It was kind of weird. A lot of the questions didn't pop up until this morning, so I only had like 2 or 3 questions last night. So I'm going to do a voiceover and answer the questions this way, and here we go.
I've been on a wave where everything I say turn into the real thing. Accelerate up, cause you know it ain't a thing.
All right, first up, what clutch springs do I have in my 850? I actually run the stock clutching in my 850. I don't know if you guys remember, but back in the day when I used to ride with Coda, he had some custom clutching in his sled. I don't think he was totally sure what it was, but my sled was still outperforming it. So kind of from that perspective, I didn't see any reason to change it up. The sled overall performed really well, so I just kind of kept it the way it was. Definitely asked multiple times what the new sled's gonna be. I am not gonna share that until I actually pick the sled up, so it'll be revealed in the pickup vlog. I do appreciate you guys for asking, and I really appreciate your interest. I'm super excited to show you guys, but yeah, I can't reveal that until I pick it up. Really great question here. What's my favorite trail in Old Forge? I'd have to say my favorite trail is probably Trail 10. It's a pretty tight and windy trail, and when it's freshly groomed or even a bit mogulled out, it's just awesome to rip that trail. A lot of like elevation change on it, and just kind of fun to put the sled through the paces. It's always my kind of gauge. If I feel like my sled's dialed in, I'll rip Trail 10, and if I have a really enjoyable experience on it, I know that I'm definitely getting the sled dialed into how I like it, and if not, that usually shows me that I need to kind of adjust preload or work on the sled a little bit. The other part of this question, have I ridden Redfield? In 2019, my dad and I did ride from Untitled Lake up to Redfield. We only kind of headed that way for a little bit and then ended up going to Barnes Corners. And then in the past, whenever I used to ride from Untitled Lake, we'd often go to Redfield, but usually when I'm coming from Old Forge to Tug Hill, we don't often make it over to Redfield, so not one of my typical places, but I've definitely ridden there in the past. I was going to take the ski and the spindle off separately, but why not just do it that way? A little quicker, so. Definitely looking forward the least to the alignment. That was by far the worst part of this last time. Would I ever do a trip to Montana? It's definitely something that I would love to do. I'd love to take a trip out west. Kind of first things first is to use my own sleds in areas that get some deeper snow, areas like Maine, so on and so forth. So that's probably first on the agenda, to do a trip like that, but definitely in the future would love to do a trip out west, really do some deep snow riding and that sort of thing. my thoughts on the Matrix. So definitely a lot of cool stuff on the Matrix. I've said that a bunch of times. Kind of like my overarching thought with the whole thing is this is a great time if you're thinking about switching to Polaris from another brand to do so. I think there's a lot to be excited about. Obviously the underpinnings of the sled are still an Axis chassis, but there's some cool updates, so you'll feel like you're getting a new sled, especially if you've been on a Pro Cross or a G4 chassis sled. It's going to be new to you to just be on the Axis plus all of the new features. For Polaris guys, I'm definitely interested to see how this season plays out. Obviously there's a lot of us out there that just want the latest and greatest, but to kind of that bigger majority of riders that might spend a few years on a sled if they feel that nothing new has happened, I'm curious to see how they interpret the Matrix. Obviously there are some updates and some changes, but are those things they're looking for? And with the $1,500 to $2,000 price jump, is it worth it in their book to get rid of a sled that, like I said, the underpinnings are the same for some updates? So yeah, I'm definitely curious to see how it plays out, but I think good for Polaris for making some updates, and definitely makes 2021 an exciting season.
The bare face and a slick tongue, that's what she say. She look good, she a big tease when she bite lip with the wink face. Hella bad when she throwing it back, she bring that my way for the team play.
Like 75,000 different wrenches to put these things on. Well, can't do it that way because you got to get the there's a bushing that goes from the stock spindles over into the offset spindles, so I totally forgot about that. I got to get that out now. Had to put some penetrating fluid on the bushing. It was fighting me. So it'll cooperate a little better now. This is a really great question. I think it's about the 2021 Assaults, not the 2020, because the 2020 was in the Axis. The 2021's in the Matrix. But do I think that the more settled feel is going to make the Assault less fun in the Matrix chassis? You know, kind of my feelings about that are, obviously they've narrowed up the console where it meets the seat so that you're able to move around on the sled more. But if that's not something you're going to do, I don't think it's going to change the handling dynamics of the sled at all. So I think it just kind of comes down to how each individual rides the sled. If you're going to be a very active rider, you're going to get more out of the sled and it's going to feel more planted. But if you're kind of a more laid back rider, I think it'll still be a very similar experience to how the Axis was. And then if you like that kind of unsettled feel in the front and having to be a little bit more focused while you ride, I think just kind of ride more relaxed and don't be as physical. And then, you know, when you come into a corner and you get the inside ski lift, you'll be able to correct it more because of the shape of the body. But I don't think overall it's going to change the sled that much. It just gives the rider more ability to make the sled perform, if that makes sense. Back to stock. Stock spindle, stock skis. So the 4 inches on it. Just got to do the alignment after this, and then it's the mountain grab bar. Do I plan on coming to Maine? Kind of building off that other question about Montana. The big holdup there is the trailer. We've had our 4-place trailer for a long time. It's 2004. Its best years are definitely behind it. So first things first, we want to upgrade the trailer, and then trips like that will definitely be in the works. Definitely some plans this year to hopefully do that. Just hoping that with everything going on, there isn't like a big backlog of trailers and we're not able to get a new one. So I just kind of got to check out the logistics on that, but hopefully this year there will be a trip somewhere in the Northeast other than New York.
Now my way for the team play. For Pete's sake, I'm above average, I'm padding my stack. I gotta matter what he say. I'm the 2010 young LeBron James off the backboard, type of bad boy.
I hate doing alignments. This crap is the worst. Why am I getting rid of the 850? The biggest reason is just I've made all the content I can with it. Obviously last year was my 4th season on an Axis Assault and my 2nd season on a 850 Patriot. If I still go with Polaris, I'm obviously going to get more time with the 850 Patriot, but it'll allow me to try out the Matrix platform and kind of try out some of those new updates and give me more YouTube content. The biggest thing for me is with the channel, I need things to make videos about, and with the Axis Assault that I've had for 2 years, honestly, I had the sled perfect for me. There's nothing about it I would have changed, and I enjoyed it that way for an entire season. But kind of about this whole YouTube thing. I want to be able to share my opinions and experience as much as I can to bring you guys the best opinion I can. So yeah, it's just the end of the road for the Assault 850, but definitely cool stuff coming down the line. Do I think this year will be a good winter? Kind of the second part of that question. You know, it's hard to say. After 2 not so great winters in the Northeast, I'm assuming this year should hopefully be the return of a decent winter, and kind of something my family and I always talk about. When it's a really hot, dry summer, usually ends up being a really cold, snowy winter. So this summer was definitely nice. I was out on the boat and the jet skis a ton, so hoping that that'll mean a pretty snowy winter.
No, I really can't complain. Everything is straight. I've been on the wave, but everything I say turn into the real thing. Tell them run it up, you know it ain't a thing. We made it out of songs with the words on the page. Everything is straight. I've been on the wave, but everything I'm saying turn into the real thing.
Another one about trips, planning any trips to Canada. Actually, that is probably completely off the options list this year. The US-Canadian border is closed, so I don't think I'd be able to cross it to go snowmobiling because of everything going on. So unfortunately, that's probably a no, but maybe next year. All right, so 100% back to stock. Like I said, the only thing I left on was the electric shield cord, kind of a good thing for anybody and not really possible to remove because you have to drill that hole in the console to put it on there. Mountain grab bar is off. The old spindles are back on with the stock Pro Steer skis. Like I said, the carbides have like 300-400 miles on them. I'll leave the 550 decals on if people want them. They can. If they want to rip them off, cool with me too. Thanks again for asking all the questions, guys. I'm glad so many of you are as excited as I am about the new sled, and definitely looking forward to this winter.